There are very few individuals who have dared to transcend the ordinary and whose accomplishments stand as monuments to the power of passion and perseverance. Yet there is one woman whose remarkable endeavors exemplify the true meaning of determination. From the majestic peaks of Yosemite National Park to the grand opera stages around the world, Martha's journey serves as a beacon of inspiration and an extraordinary account of a woman who has defied the odds, shattered glass ceilings, and carved her own path in one of America's grand national parks. Although Martha's ambitions led her across the globe, her humble origins trace back to the sun-kissed coastal town of Carpinteria, where her grandfather, Charles F. Miller, operated one of the town's first filling stations. The family's extensive legacy, managing diverse enterprises, dates back to her great-grandfather, Joshua Nicholas Turner. He was a prominent California state senator whose wealth stemmed from investments in the lumber and hospitality sectors, most notably constructing one of Nevada City's earliest hotels, where he entertained guests for $25 a week. Martha's father, Chester Jacob, belonged to the 21st Engineers Society and worked in the railroad industry following his service in World War I. By the early 20s, he relocated to Carpinteria from Sacramento, embarking on an exciting new chapter with his wife, Helen Eldred, on Star Pine Road.
My father was a farmer. My mother was a housewife and kept care of the farmer's books. They were the old-fashioned parents. I was the afterthought of two older sisters. I used to pick beans for my father and lemons and apricots. I was always out earning a dime.
During these formative years, a passion for horses began to blossom. Her father introduced her to the racetrack, igniting a lifelong passion for the equestrian sport. By kindergarten, she was already deciphering the daily racing form, studying the stats, and analyzing the odds like a seasoned gambler. Her uncle Ross, Brick Eldred, was a distinguished baseball player honored in the Pacific Coast League Hall of Fame. Despite his illustrious career, to Martha, he was simply Uncle Brick, a beloved uncle whose cabin in Tahoe served as the family's summer retreat. During one summer, the Millers decided to deviate from tradition and embark on a new adventure.
So every summer we would go, they had a cabin in Lake Tahoe, and every summer we would go to Lake Tahoe. And this one particular summer, coming back from Lake Tahoe, I think my parents decided that that they would go to Yosemite en route home. And I was, like I say, I think I was around 5 or maybe older, but not much. So we went into the valley, and we all, I in particular, and my mother in particular, all fell in love with Yosemite.
The sheer magnitude of Yosemite's natural beauty left them speechless. From that moment on, the family remained anchored, working at various capacities within the park, while Martha was left to roam the vast wilderness of the high country.
They pretty much let me run footloose and fancy free, because my parents had kind of an open schedule by the nature of the farming and what have you. They started going there in the summers and working. I fell in love with the ranger naturalists and everything that represented the parks. And I climbed the cliffs and the mountains every day.
By 13 years old, she was hiking with Dr. Carl Sharsmith, one of Yosemite's longest-serving ranger naturalists. These fascinating endeavors through Tuolumne Meadows inspired her to explore the possibility of becoming a naturalist.
What I wanted to do from my experience in Yosemite and growing up in the mountains and being a mountain person, I wanted to be a ranger naturalist. So I went to my father took me to the visitor center to talk to somebody about how I should approach, what I should study in school and what have you. And I was told, in no uncertain terms, women don't become ranger naturalists. And so I thought, that's probably why I spent so much time in hospitality. And of course, today, in this day, there's more women in the Park Service than there are men. So, but that was the era I grew up in. I grew up in an era that women didn't participate much in sports or in certain professions. Whereas today, it's the other side of the coin. I just grew up a little bit before my time.
Although her dream of becoming a park ranger and naturalist were met with resistance, she remained determined to blaze her own trail in the Grand National Park.
I went into the backcountry on a horse with a cowboy, and I worked at Vocal Sang High Sierra Camp. It was a new experience because of where it was, how I got there. But I'd always worked my entire life, so working was not new to me.
She dedicated her summers working at Tuolumne Meadows Lodge, while her winters were spent in the cafeteria at Yosemite Lodge. Yet Martha's skills extended far beyond hospitality when she decided to dovetail into another passion.
In Santa Barbara, we had a cabin up in the Fraser Mountain area, which is down in the Grapevine area, in the Los Padres Mountains. And I went up there with my friends one weekend, and we went to ski. And I'd never been on skis. And I remember putting the skis on and just putting them down the hill, which was, of course, like suicide. and but it was fun. And I thought, well, I survived this, so someday I'm going to learn how to ski. So when I was working in Yosemite, the first winter that I worked in Yosemite, I wasn't going to school. I started taking lessons. So I learned to ski in Yosemite. And they had a wonderful ski school there. And I just worked my way up.
She swiftly gained momentum and began working at Badger Pass under Luigi Foger.
Oh, skiing's a passion. Once I learned, I just had to go skiing. It's just an attraction.
During her time at Carpinteria High, she immersed herself in the performing arts, delving into different facets of theater production.
And in high school, we had stage plays and stuff. I kind of liked the stage.
In 1953, she attended her first opera in Fresno, Madame Butterfly, a stunning performance that would alter the trajectory of her life. As Martha sat in the darkened theater, she was mesmerized by the timeless tale of a young Japanese girl who falls in love with an American naval officer. As the aria Un bel dì vedremo filled the air, she knew that she had unearthed her next greatest love. Martha studied music and earth sciences at UC Santa Barbara and the University of Dayton, Ohio. She relocated to Europe with her close friend Fran Wass in 1956, but swiftly returned home to teach children at Badger Pass. Drawn by the magic of theater, she began serving at the esteemed Bracebridge Dinner at the Ahwahnee Hotel. Under the direction of famed photographer Ansel Adams and director Eugene Fulton, Martha gained invaluable insight into the meticulous artistry involved in crafting a magical dining experience.
The Bracebridge Dinner is an artistic musical event taken from the Washington Irving story, Christmas Dinner at Bracebridge Hall. And Ansel Adams originated it to make an evening performance.
With Andrea Fulton's leadership, the Bracebridge Dinner has emerged as one of the most extraordinary holiday productions in the world. For Martha, it was the influential friendships formed at the Ahwahnee Hotel that propelled her into the world of opera.
You know, one of my good fortunes is that I knew a lot of people who were influential in my life, and just through the nature of it. I was working in Yosemite, and I knew Jimmy Swabacher and Dr. someone whose name I'm forgetting, and they were both on the board of directors of the San Francisco Spring Opera, and I knew them through the hotel. And so I said, you know, I really would like to work in opera production. Can you get me an interview with the hotel, Kurt Herbert Adler, the opera director? They said yes, they would do that. So I went and I had this interview before the San Francisco Fall Opera, and as a volunteer I was taken on, and that started it. The connections, you connect with one performing art group, and there's another one down the road. It's kind of like you go from one gig to the other, and that's how I got started, and meeting the different influential people
She skillfully ascended to the pinnacle of stage management, mastering the art of opera production and fostering unforgettable friendships along the way. During her decade-long tenure, she became friends with Carol Todd, a beautiful young soprano from Long Beach. In 1962, Todd's exceptional voice earned her a contract with Kurt Herbert Adler, the general director of the San Francisco Opera. Their friendship blossomed against the backdrop of the War Memorial Opera House, and Martha's behind-the-scenes expertise propelled her from stage assistant to rehearsal coordinator, stage manager, assistant director, and head of the rehearsal department.
I worked with the San Francisco Opera for many years. For many seasons, and also I was the director of the Fresno Opera. I worked with the best. I was very fortunate because San Francisco was the top opera company. And likewise, the English National Opera. But San Francisco is world renowned.
Yet it was the winters spent in Yosemite that ignited Martha's soul. Under the direction of legendary ski instructor Nic Fiore, she ascended the ranks and became one of the first female certified ski instructors. Martha not only conquered the slopes of Badger Pass, but also represented the United States Ski Association in the 1964 Winter Olympics held in Austria.
Well, I got the measles, but it was okay. I survived it all, and just being there and representing the United States, so it was a wonderful experience, and I was very proud to be there.
In 1966, she assumed the role of production director for the Fresno Opera Association, bringing with her a wealth of knowledge she acquired from her time in San Francisco. Martha's approach to directing underscored the significant role music plays in blocking a performance and telling a story. In opera, the stage actions must be meticulously synchronized with the music, posing a unique challenge even for the most experienced professionals. Despite the ongoing woes that came with directing, Martha's unwavering passion for the art continued to thrive, garnering attention and recognition in several publications.
I actually have all the different opera companies I work for. Okay, I work for the Los Angeles Opera Company, the Pasadena Opera Company, the Cincinnati Opera Company, the Virginia Opera Company, the Sacramento Opera Company, the Honolulu Symphony. I worked with the Greek Theater in Los Angeles.
Although Martha wholeheartedly pursued a career in the performing arts, she concurrently served as a beloved innkeeper in Yosemite, overseeing both White Wolf Lodge and Tuolumne Meadows.
I love Tuolumne Meadows Lodge, and I love the people that I met there. I recently had a birthday, and I can't believe the cards I got from people that work for me because somebody got the word out. But I love working with the young people and watching them grow up, it just grows on you. It's just a good place to be.
As time passed, her array of interests continued to broaden. In 1979, Martha pursued a culinary education at Le Cordon Bleu in Paris, all while serving as an apprentice for the English National Opera in London. After traveling abroad, she returned to Yosemite, infusing the park with the magic of the performing arts. Martha's mosaic of talents came full circle as an events coordinator at the Ahwahnee Hotel. She played a pivotal role in the hotel's most cherished traditions, including the Bracebridge Dinner and Chef's Holidays. One of her most notable achievements was organizing the visit of Queen Elizabeth, the Ahwahnee's most high-profile guest, in 1983.
The park was closed, and we were all very patiently waiting. But she was just very natural and went about her business. It was fun to watch the Duke. He would go into the shop. One day I just stood in a gift shop while he shopped, probably for her. I gave the Secret Service men their towels for the swimming pool, and teaching the staff how to behave, things that they were to remember in her presence, and nothing too extraordinary. It was an experience, and I always remember when she left. She was with the president of the company, and we were all standing along the breezeway saying goodbye to her. And I heard her say to Mr. Harvey, "Is this the staff? What are all these people doing?" And he said, "Yes, these are the people who have been taking care of you." And she just smiled, and it was really nice. And we all clapped. Then it went back to normal.
During these years, she continued traveling internationally, visiting Nepal, Hong Kong, Thailand, Japan, and notably New Zealand, where she attended the country's International Festival of the Arts. In 1990, Martha's childhood dreams became a reality when she ventured into the world of horse racing, proudly joining the California Thoroughbred Breeders Association. The acquisition of her first mare, California bred Reason to Be, sired by Aloma's ruler, commenced her involvement in the equestrian sport. She was no longer a spectator, but an active member of the horse racing industry. As with her other passions, Martha undertook extensive research and built connections within the equestrian community. Her horses made jaw-dropping wins and amassed significant earnings, including California-bred Harlington Rose and New Zealand-bred Kasem Power, who combined earned almost $1 million. Although we could continue to detail the numerous passions Martha has pursued throughout her life, her greatest legacy may be the friends she's made and the lives she's touched along the way.
I also feel very attached to people. I think people are very important in your life.
Today, she resides at Foothill Village, recounting a lifetime of adventures within one of the world's most captivating parks. Despite playing a pivotal role behind the scenes, she has always been and always will be the leading lady, leading by example and demonstrating that anyone can conquer even the highest summits. As we reflect on her legacy, we recognize that it's not just the granite cliffs or the majestic peaks that make Yosemite so special, but it's people like Martha and countless others whose lifetime of service has made one of America's finest landmarks a national treasure.